Hey guys, it's your brother in Christ, Weston. Thanks for joining me today. So today's article comes out of InfoWars. Let's get into it. Okay, this is important, and I don't know how this was not red flag, red paint the town red over what this was trying when this exact person and everybody who was making the V words, right, that were going into people. Um, the it's called they called it a liability shield or something like that because I just kind of just read a portion of this. I haven't read the whole thing and I haven't even watched the video, so we're gonna watch it together. It says here, this was like 3 years ago, and I was like, how do people even fall for this? Like, this is corruption in your face. It says right here, Pfizer CEO Borla dodges CNBC, who's obviously somebody who supported something like this. The fact that they're even saying that is good. Supported probably the idea of shielding these people for like 75 years. We're going to talk about it. CNB question about V word makers being shielded from liability, claims FDA wouldn't approve shots if they weren't safe and effective. That's the biggest bull poop emojis I've ever heard. That is a garbage person. Absolutely 1000% a garbage person. Okay, it says mainstream media anchor asks if products are safe and effective. Here's such a great question. If products are safe and effective, what is the need to continue to have liability shields? Answer the question. Answer the question. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm sure that these people were gaslit to believe in what this person was saying and got these. I'm sure it is because it's more of a left wing kind of situation, and more right. I would say right wing people is what would say that is people who are who didn't mostly get this and they're trying to fight a narrative on that. I'm not saying all left wing. I can't say that, but I can tell you that I saw it clear as day that people who were on a left wing media side were calling anybody and everybody every name under the in the book about how dangerous you were, treating you as second-rate citizens, losing your jobs, not being able to go back into the military, being having to be uh, dishonorably discharged or something like that. Um, or I don't even know how the discharges work. They were discharged to begin with. Uh, and it was unreal. And then you hear something like this during that time, and you're like, they literally had 75 years before it would even get released about what I believe what the practices were, what the clinical trials, and what they found from that. They were like, nobody would look at them for at least 75 years. That's insane, insane. Um, this was dated today. It says Albert Bourla, CEO of big pharma company Pfizer, joined CNBC this week, where he essentially blamed the US Congress for giving V word manufacturers an exemption from being held liable for injuries or deaths caused by their products. So I don't know if it's like a reverse Uno card, like, haha, it was on you to do it, but you didn't. And so we're not held liable. So you're held liable. Um, we're going to watch this here. I'm going to record this, get it all set up because I need to see this. I haven't watched this. I haven't watched any of this. We're just going to get this little section here and make sure I get it all set up because I want to know. Like, I want to know that I want to hear it. I want to. Okay. Press record and make sure our volume is up. It's not up. All right, here we go. Ah.
Albert, it's great to have you on. Thanks for being with us. I realize it's only one piece of a broader portfolio, but it is the piece that continues to get outsized attention, and that is your vaccine portfolio. Vaccine makers like yourself largely shielded from liability. If the products are safe and effective, what is the need to continue to shield, to have these liability shields? And what happens if those shields are changed or go away completely?
If the product is not safe and effective, we'll never get approval from FDA or from the other health authorities. They are very strict when they are approving products, particularly for vaccines, because exactly is given to healthy people. However, in a system that litigations can flourish, anyone can create a demand that the accident in the car happened because of the vaccine. And with a jury, it's going to be maybe a flip of a coin. And this is, I think, why the Congress, it was not an administration, had passed this legislation that is protecting those that they have approval from the FDA from further liabilities.
So completely doesn't own any of it. He's like, nope. If if it wasn't safe and effective, the FDA wouldn't approve it. Well, the FDA needs to go then, because it seems like the FDA doesn't know what they're doing, or it doesn't need to go. It needs to be totally. You need to clean it all out and start all over, because that was not safe and effective. And whatever clinical trials were done and information that was being withheld, maybe there's a miscommunication between the manufacturer and the FDA and the clinical trials. I don't know. What I do know is he should be held liable because they are withholding information. You were trying to withhold information for 75 years for the public. So what are you giving to the FDA if you're not wanting the public to find out? That doesn't make any sense. That's super scary. That dude right there, legitimately right there, is an unaliver for sure, contributing in something like that, making something where I remember I still have the documents set and saved about the clinical trials, and I did a video over it, showing the actual side effects, and one of the side effects is death. This is exactly what it is, 1,000%. And Bell's palsy was one of them. All the things you were seeing there, myocarditis. Like, you're a liar, dude. You are a liar. You are a deceiver. And look at the smug. Look at this face. Like, oh man, it's just it just gets under my skin. It says here, the CNBC anchor Morgan Brennan said vaccine V-word makers like yourself are largely shuttled from liability. Borland answered if the product is not safe and effective, so he just deflects, right? Will never get FDA approval. That's bull, bro. Because it seems like the FDA is messing up and dropping the ball, or you're withholding information. They're very strict about approving products. It continues this bizarrely to claim that in a system where litigations can flourish, people could blame things such as car accidents on V-word side effects. You could, bro. You absolutely 1,000% could. Like, that is the truth. With a jury, it's going to be a flip of a coin. The corrupt big pharma CEO said, this is why I think Congress, it was not an administration, had passed the legislation protecting those they gave approval through the FDA from federal liabilities. In the end, Borla failed to answer Brennan's question about what happens if those shields are changed or completely go away. He didn't answer that because he doesn't want to answer that. He's just trying to give you a broad baseball stadium kind of answer with no granular details to it, because he doesn't want to answer that. Because if that happens, Pfizer's, what are you making? What are you going to get approval for? And what happens? Will you be able to make anything? Will it make you make things in honesty, in integrity, in transparency, and vulnerability, and accountability and responsibility? All the abilities. Last year, 5 U.S. states sued Pfizer for misleading Americans about the what C word, the shots. Under DT's admin, the leadership with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. heading Health Human Services, is likely C words will be re-examined, and that big pharma will finally be held liable for decades of poisoning the public. Woo, bro! I'm telling you, it just gets me so heated because I've never been treated such a way. And I still talk about it. It's not because I'm bitter about it. It's that people just tend to forget how they treated somebody in such a fashion, literally in such a fashion, as if you just don't remember. It's the lack of acknowledgement, which just, lack of better words, pisses me off, because it's just like, bro, you know what? The reason why you can't change, the reason why you act this way, is the lack of acknowledgement, the lack of the sin being committed that you're doing. You're making every possible excuse, and yet it's just acknowledging, yes, I did this. And was there somebody who was forcing you to do this? I mean, there's probably every situation can be different, and yet still, without the lack of acknowledgement of what you're doing, no change can happen. No true change can happen. It cannot, because of somebody won't accept, and it's a narcissistic quality, won't accept being the villain of their own story, or being a villain at all, that they are somehow the victim. And it's disgusting. And there are people like that, and that dude screams that in the position that he's in, making things that go inside people's bodies. We just talked about the birds who are getting sick with stuff in them. Come on, bro. That doesn't make any sense. You got people suing Pfizer for stuff going directly into them. We have foods that are pretty much destroying our guts. I know it's destroyed mine. And I've had to work on building it back up and being better about it. Literally had a colonoscopy 2.5 years ago. And got one just to make sure I was okay, because I've never had, I had a severe case of a weird constipation because I was overworking out, dehydrated, and I just decided to get a colonoscopy just to check, and ended up finding a single polyp, just one, came back benign. But praise God that I did that, because who knows, it was precancerous. It's not like it's going to turn into, it was benign. It wasn't precancerous, or it could have turned into something, sure. But the fact is that those are things that are happening in the gut from foods and chemicals you're putting in there, right? Messing up the GI, which is the second brain, causing all this inflammation, giving you all these things, IBS, this, that, the third. What else do you think is happening? So when you talk about actual like V words going into people, what do you think that's doing? People have clearly had side effects that were devastating. And to just sit here as smug as you can be and deflect, 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 dude, I'm telling you, Pfizer needs to be shut down for sure. Guaranteed. If somebody's making V words, it needs to be so transparent about the clinical trials and what you're putting in there and the absolute side effects. And if there's even a smidge of like, there's too many, like, I don't know how many you want to shoot for. If something fails, then then it needs to be removed, like, immediately. I'm sorry. I'm so in my feelings at this point. I'm sorry. It's just frustrating to see that, because people lost their lives because they trusted somebody like this guy, and then the people subsequently, the people who followed up, the FDA and this person and that person, and then leadership, and then government, and then it's this, and then the fear mongering tactics, and people lost their lives. And it's just like, yep, you know what? Deflect. That's what I. Anyways, that's the video. If you like the video, be sure to like the video. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you don't agree with me, it's totally fine. You are welcome here. This is a space to have civil discourse and different opinions without beating each other up over it, but making valid arguments as well without just, trying to straw man somebody. Happy to discuss with you and happy to disagree with you. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next one.